sales and marketing stage. How does design help your startup in the sales and marketing realm? And I have a few apps that I wanted to compare. First one is, who in here has ever used the app Tweetbot? Let's, okay, you were like super excited about this. Why did you download Tweetbot?
Because it was recommended by, I think, during Fireball or so.
Yeah, but wait, Twitter, big company, like they think they are doing good things, and they have their own app, and it's free. Tweetbot is like, what, $3?
Something like that, yeah.
So
big investment.
yeah. Anyways, I have loved to see the traction and growth of Tweetbot, because Tweetbot said, look, Twitter's doing this, but we believe through design and UI and UX, we can do this, and we're going to charge people $3 for it. Anyway, this has been awesome to see how many people have valued, design and usability enough to offer up their $3 and download Tweetbot. A similar story comes between Instagram and Hipstamatic. This is a little different in that Instagram is a free app and Hipstamatic is paid, but it's only $1. But if you look at their user growth, Hipstamatic came out maybe a year or two before. Is that just me? Can you guys hear that as well?
Yes. It's like an audio plugin. Here's laptop stuff.
See that? There we go.
It's the best part.
Thank you. So Hipstamatic was already doing what Instagram started to do at the very beginning when they came out, but there were very subtle things on how they attracted their users, how they engaged their users, how simple it was. Hipstamatic's example was, hey, we're going to put filters on your pictures from your iPhone, but we're going to call it D3 3000, like the name of the lens. We're going to call it telephoto lens, whatever it is. But if you're not a legit photographer, you didn't know what those meant. And then Instagram comes out and it's like, this is called vintage, this is called grunge, this is called Sierra. And people related with that better, and they were able to dominate that market very quickly in that way. And then we come to Square. Who in here knows what Square is? Yeah, I love Square. I love what they do around design. But who in here has ever used Square? I know it's a lot less popular in Utah than in San Francisco right now. How about who in here has ever used Intuit? Meaning Intuit's little card reader that does the same thing credit card swipe. Yeah, so Intuit was doing it a long time before Square was. But if you ask me, again, a biased opinion, Square came at it and they did it the right way. If you're going to have a credit card reader in that whole company, in that whole space, there's a way that it should work, a way that it should look, and Square understood that and they nailed it. Intuit came from a more enterprise approach where hey, we can maybe save you a percentage here and there, and maybe have a data bit, whatever it was, and the world just doesn't react to that as well as they do user-friendly experiences and design. That was a lot of what encouraged me to start Scan. When I first got into the QR code, or was interested in the QR code space, I was looking at apps that were existing, which were about 200-300 already. I was looking at websites, which were maybe thousands of out there, but I didn't like the way they felt, I didn't like the way they functioned or looked, and so just as a fun game, or a fun project, we decided to build our own and try to make it look and feel better. If you ask my co-founder Ben, he'll say it's the development. If you ask me, I'll say it's the design, or whatever it is. But nonetheless, when we first got in the app market, you could make the argument that we were ranked out of all the scanners 300. We were new, we were last place. Within 3 months, we worked our way into the top 10, and we had our first million downloads. And then, we worked our way to the #1 spot in utilities, number 10 overall. You guys some screenshots. Yeah, we just watched it grew until we were the #10 app in the entire app store under free. It came at a very fun time for us where we had the opportunity to meet the Angry Bird guys. And it was on a daily basis where it was hiking up. We were 24th, we were 23rd, we were 16th, and every time I was just taking screenshots because it could not get higher ranked than this. I'm going to take a screenshot because then it's going to go back to rank 100th or whatever it was. We had our meeting with Angry Birds and we were right behind them, and so we were excited to hey, you guys are 12th and we're 13th, let's be friends. And we meet with them there in San Francisco, and so I was hey, you guys are ranked 12th, we're 13th, and they're really? And they pull it up, and when we pull it up, we had since then switched, and we were 10th and they were 11th. It was a very, very good day for us, and then they wanted to be friends with us. Yeah, and so I screenshotted. We didn't get any higher than that. 10th was like our peak. And then the last one, and kind of a transition from this, was is Facebook. Who in here is not on Facebook?
Just deactivate.
Really? I swear we're connected on Facebook.
What's that?
Are we not connected?
We
on
are
Facebook?
friends on Facebook. I deactivated it for just like a month or two though.
Sure.
Just because I wanted.
Okay, so who in here signed up for Facebook because they saw an advertisement about Facebook? Yeah, so Facebook like rules at this game of like creating something so valuable in the way they created it that like it markets itself. No one saw an advertisement sign up for Facebook. It was word of mouth, friends, or because you were the only kid at the Ogden conference who was not on Facebook. Kind of awkward to sign up for Facebook. And that brings me to like the last topic is designing things and creating things in a way that they create lasting value. And although it's not in a tech space, this example, it's something like I feel strongly about, and I think it directly like relates to startup entrepreneurship and especially in the tech space. If you ask me about Scan, a lot of people say, hey, you raised your 1.7 million from Google, like what's your exit strategy, what's your plan, when you want to sell, stuff like that. And obviously, if the right opportunity or offer came along, we would take it. But the mindset within the company is we are never going to sell, and we're going to be doing this every day for the rest of our lives. We wanted to have that mindset so that we would build a culture in a company within like the people and the location that we enjoyed working on, and we enjoyed our lives day in and day out. And so, you know, we had a lot of fun every day since then because of that. Anyways, the example I had here, who can tell me from this Google Maps screenshot where that is located? Anyone recognize that? Point of the Mountains. Yeah. If you go to the Point of the Mountain, I grew up in Utah, Alpine, Utah, right around the corner from here, and it was always funny to me because you drive around the Point of the Mountain, you'd see people digging away at Geneva Rock Company, digging away at this mountain that is made of sand. As far as I remember in primary, I remember that song that said, "The foolish man built his house upon the sand." But they are building houses on this mountain of sand. And if you look, like, can you even see a little bit of a yard? Like, it looks like San Francisco. You go to San Francisco, there's no yards, but you're packed in this, like, small city. You go to Utah, and there's wide open space, but they decided to just, like, cram all these model homes. So it's like some entrepreneur had an idea, so I'm going to design 2 homes, and I'm going to like flop them, and like people won't notice that it's the same home. It's like, oh, my garage is on the left, like yours is on the right, that's cool. But like that's the way they did it. They just like flip-flopped it, pumped them out, and that's what they do. To me, that is an example of a neighborhood that like 30 years from now, 60 years from now, like people aren't going to want to live into those homes because they weren't built to last. Love going to Europe or, you know, even some like amazing places along the East Coast where they built these homes and like as they get older, the value goes up. Whereas with these, like as those get older, it's just getting closer and closer to 0. Whereas it would be like the opposite side of the spectrum. Also here in Utah, does anyone know Utah well enough to tell me where this is located? Daybreak Community. How did you know that?
It's the style.
It's the style. Like so you go to Daybreak and like they just have a different atmosphere there. Like it's all about the yards. I'm pretty sure that they built a lake. Why did they build a lake? Like they could have fit like 200 more of those like whatever model homes into this lake, but they decided to build a lake because it makes for a nice community. And I would put my money down, and I'm sure the church would too, and that's why they built the temple there. That like this is a good community. That you know, with time, as the trees grow in and like everything fills out, it's going to be like a nice, lovely neighborhood with time. Anyways, the last thing for me to touch on, and then we can go into Q&A and discuss, is yeah, it would be horrible of me to talk about design and not bring up Apple. Who here is counting or planning on getting an iPad 3 or the new iPad? It's not that different from it's not that different from the iPad 2. Why are you going to get one?
Because of the screen.
What about the screen?
with its high def. It looks great. I've seen the difference between the 3GS phone and the 4S, or the 4, and
Is it that big of a difference though? Like, it's still like you can read one on one screen and you can read it on the other.
well, it does no different until you go back to the old one, and then you're like, oh, it's ugly. It's all
Exactly. No, you don't have to convince me. I create Apple. So, no, like everything Apple does, like, no, yeah. And you're like, I got Apple right now. No, I do. I love the what Apple has put into everything they've done from the beginning. And we had our first meeting with Apple to talk about Scan. They invited us in. And the thing that was cool was like we met with the head of utilities in the App Store as well as the person who heads up marketing for the App Store. And you would think that they were co-founders of Apple. Like the amount of like passion they had for Apple, we did in the cafeteria. And even like in the cafeteria, they were like, oh, like you should try our pizza because it's organic this, and this. We had some stuff that wasn't organic and like there was this big like email or whatever, like petition that came through because everyone in there like wants to build Apple. They love Apple. Everyone from like the newest employee to the oldest employee feels like a co-founder that they own a piece of it thanks to, I think, just taking a human approach to it. And so in that way, that's why Apple to me is a great example of building true value through user experience and design. Anyways, you can, I have my personal website, garretg.me, where you can find me. You can also find me on Twitter at garretg.